you look at the housing meltdown, when you look at how it's costing more for the cost of living, and with inflation tacked onto that, here are people who are suffering. You're talking about Americans who are paying the ultimate price. It's just unconscionable for me to understand how we haven't banded together as a government to help these people in their gravest, darkest hour.
Well, at least you're stepping up. You know, myself and a group called We Are Change in New York, well, we've raised pittance compared to what you have, but about $50,000 for the Feel Good Foundation and a few other groups in New York. We sent thousands of gas masks and breathing apparatus the day after 9/11. We could see that concrete and mercury and arsenic and the asbestos would be bad when the media and the government were saying it was good for them, and then it wasn't a problem. So, you know, we've tried to do what we could. And again, people have got to ask themselves why they could end the PR nightmare, and they could have given them, I mean, even if the government was evil, the people running it were bad, they could have still taken care of the police and firemen, emergency workers, and then they wouldn't have this big nightmare, this big public relations nightmare. It seems like such a dumb move. I mean, I would imagine as you were walking for 10 months across the country, boy, what a way to see America, that you were probably asking yourself that as you were walking, weren't you?
Oh, absolutely. And the thing that is ironic to me, it's my understanding that there were funds that were allocated for the first responders and rescue and recovery workers, but it's been held up, I think, because of the perceived litigation that's going to come down the pike, because people are denying responsibility on the federal level and the state level.
That's right. You just answered it, and that's the answer to all of it. If they give them health care when all the hospitals say they're dead and dying and their lungs are full and 20% capacity, like you said, if they admit they're sick, then there could be liability, so they're just cutting them loose.
Exactly. And although we realize this is a very litigious society, it should not preclude people from doing what is right. And it should not preclude the government from stepping up and fulfilling its obligation and its responsibility toward its citizens. I don't feel that that's right.
Absolutely. Tell my listeners in closing, sir, in the few minutes we've got left with you, we're talking to famous NFL player, of course, with the Giants, George Martin, who walked across the entire country and raised more than $2 million. Now it's been doubled up to $4 million. For first responders of the 9/11 deadly dust, how people can give, and again, where their donations, how their donations. I mean, as you said, it's going basically to health care at these hospitals, and then they're going to double the care.
Yeah, and I will share with them a quick story that always had a profound impact on me as I was traveling. We were passed by this van, and this grandmother got out of the van with 5 of her grandchildren. 4 of them were males. And she lined them up along the road, and she pointed at us as we were walking toward us, and she said, I want my grandchildren to witness a part of history, and I want them to see a real American hero, and I want them to witness a selfless act of giving back to the community. She then reached in her purse, and she was a lady of very meager means. She contributed 10 of the $14 that she had in her purse, and we were so reluctant to take it, but we realized that she was teaching her grandchildren a very valuable lesson that was worth more than the $10 that she had contributed. So for those individuals within the sound of our listening voice who would like their presence to be known and would like to make a difference in the lives of these heroes, please go to our website, which is www.ajourneyfor911.info, a journey for 911.info, or go to our toll-free number, which is 1-800-889-8038.
Absolutely. And again, people think, oh, you can't save the world by giving. When you give to good things like this, it certainly does have an effect, and it also helps you because it softens your heart. What was the route? I mean, I know you've got a map there, but what was the route that you walked across the nation?
Well, the thing that we wanted to do, because of the time of the year, we were leaving in the fall, we wanted to walk south so we could avoid any inclement weather coming from the north. So we went south as far as we thought was possible. So we started in New York, went through New Jersey, then Pennsylvania, down through D.C., Delaware, and then to Tennessee. We walked across Tennessee. We went across Arkansas into the panhandle of Texas, then New Mexico, on into Arizona, and eventually down into San Diego. We went through 13 states, including the District of Columbia. and that was just a marvelous excursion. Our first inclination was safety first, and we did the entire 3 miles without any incident whatsoever.
What was it like when you finally reached the sea there in San Diego?
Well, it was a moment of elation, as you could probably understand, but it was also a period of mixed emotions, because here it is, we had been doing this for 9 months. It was something that we absolutely were thrilled about. We did not have one single day where we missed a walking day due to injury or any injury whatsoever. And at the same time, we wanted to resume our regular lives, to get back to our families, and to get back to our standard of living. And it was just so warm to see how San Diego rolled out the red carpet. All of the local heroes there, the firemen, the police, gave us a grand escort through the city. The mayor issued a mayoral proclamation. It was just an outstanding experience, and someone said it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I told them I beg to differ. I don't think that something like this happens quite that often.
Well, I'll say this, sir. It also exposes the fact that they're not getting the treatment they need. Not only does it get them some of the treatment, it exposes the fact all over the country, with a lot of local newspapers and TV on the way, getting attention, now national attention. It's just an example of good people standing up and getting involved. In closing, how did you come up with the idea, to do this and then put it into motion?
Well, first, that's a great question. And to begin with, it's a blending of two very distinct passions that I have. First of all, as a country boy growing up in the outbacks of Greenville, South Carolina, I'd always had this wanderlust inherent in me, and I always wondered what was the larger picture of this great America that we lived in, because my exposure was limited to that little farm that I grew up on. And I always wanted to see this country up close and personal.
I'll tell you what, final segment coming up. Sir, stay there. I want to come back and finish up why you decided to do this, how the idea finally popped into your head and how you did it on the other side with our guest, George Martin. Stay with us. Finish up your story, please, sir.
Well, yes, as a country boy, as I said, I've always had this inherent desire to do so. But if I ever did it, I wanted to have a cause associated with it. And it took me and my friends a very short time to come up with we think was the most appropriate cause, and that's a journey for 9/11. And we are just so delighted to have served as ambassadors for this wonderful cause. And my dad always told me, he said, son, make sure that you leave this world a little bit better than you found it. And I hope that through those 3,000 miles, I've attempted to do so.
Well, I think you've done that, and again, thank you for raising the money, getting a medical care, and drawing attention to the huge cover-up of what's happened that is unraveling. Thanks to people like you, George Martin. George, thank you, and have a great weekend.
It's my pleasure. Have a great 4th of July celebration yourself.
You bet. Take care. Yeah, we're going to have that long weekend coming up, but Jason Burmis wants to sit in Thursday. Tomorrow, Ron Paul is on the show. Ron Paul, Congressman, talk about the war, what will happen to energy prices if we are engaged in a conflict with Iran. We have a surprise guest who's joining us for an hour and a half. That's not Ron Paul. Big guest after big guest after big guest tomorrow. In closing, Interfood made this hour possible. Interfood is the best green food I've found anywhere. Link through at Infowars.com off that banner, and you get 10% off on Interfood and their whole line of products: dulse kelp, barley grass, wheatgrass, chlorella, spirulina, and 14 other superfoods, unpasteurized to get full absorption of the vitamins and nutrients and minerals you need and trace elements. 866-762-9238 is the phone number. Get 10% off when you call it. 866-762-9238 or interfood.com. God bless you all. Retransmission starts now.